and our city attorney on the impacts of SB 54 as it relates to the local jurisdiction.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Purcell. Appreciate that.
And also it gives an opportunity for the people to get the information directly related to SB 54.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate your consideration for the number of times I've been up here to voice my opinions on this. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Councilman.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having this on the agenda tonight and moving this forward to a workshop. San Jacinto did approve this, and there is caution in moving forward with a certain direction. We have seen every city that's taken it up in Riverside County move forward with this. That's included Lake Elsinore, Wildomar, San Jacinto, Beaumont, and right now Riverside and Corona have it also scheduled. It's coming forward. None of them are doing a workshop, even though I do appreciate you have that scheduled as a workshop. We do recommend that you don't do an opt-out provision. That's how Los Alamitos did get a lawsuit with the ordinance in that position. What we do recommend and ask is that you do an opposition resolution, which of course I'll make sure that you do get and will provide to you, that states to our sheriff and our county and our governor that you do oppose the sanctuary status, and that you also do join the amicus brief, which is a different statement. It's more of a formal statement, just like the resolution, but to support behind the DOJ against the state of California. We also do recommend that you don't approve any city funding for that. And if there is any additional legal costs, you bring it back for approval. There is a nonprofit, the FAIR organization, that is offering to pay for those legal costs. And they have the language to support the DOJ on that side, so it's no cost on revenue. And it does support kind of two statements, one piece to the county and the sheriff, and the other side supporting the DOJ, a hand behind their back, supporting on that. And we do have a staff report that we would provide to you. And we would prefer a item go on the consent calendar and it be approved. Our petition has grown to over 500 in the city. There is strong support. I'll forward that along with that information. But so far within Riverside County, it has provided unanimous support with the cities that have brought this forward. Anyways, I do appreciate your time bringing this forward, and we do urge you to move quickly, consent, instead of a workshop. You know, we'd be glad to attend the workshop. Again, at the request of the mayor, we didn't come out with people that want to be heard and do support this at the request. Of course, at workshop, people will want to, and that could be obviously a much longer process. Anyways, thank you for bringing this forward. This is a serious issue. As you're aware, there's now a new bill, SB 174, that's come out. And that's taking a step forward that's allowing illegal aliens to serve in elected positions in the state of California. That could be governor, that could be you as city council, it could be water district. It's time that we take a stand, and we ask that you do that with us and the rest of the cities in Riverside County, and let our voices be heard locally and above. Thank you for the time.
Russell Roots, followed by Glenn Stoll.
Good evening. My name is Russell Roof. I'm in opposition to Senate Bill 54. The preamble starts off with these three words, the preamble to the Constitution, that is, we the people. Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address said, government of the people, by the people, for the people. Who are the people? I feel that the representatives in Sacramento have lost sight of who the people are. They passed a Senate Bill number 54, which was not for the people. It was only for criminal illegal aliens and for people who are in this country illegally. That's the sole purpose of proposition of that Senate Bill number 54. I am astonished that we're spending all of our money and sending it to Sacramento, and they're taking our money and using their time to represent not we the people, but illegal aliens. I am a veteran of the Korean War. I served in the United States Marine Corps. And when I was in the Marine Corps, I met a lot of guys who fought in the Second World War in the Pacific. They were vets. They fought from the first battle in the Pacific at Guadalcanal and Tulagi to the bloodiest battle in 1945 at Okinawa. They lost a lot of their buddies. A lot of people were killed for our right to survive in this country, for our freedom in this country. You people sitting up there tonight, you have an obligation to respect those people. They gave their last measure of devotion, and you owe it to them, to their sacrifice. These people have done it a great deal for this country, and you can do no less but to help them. Think of them. If you do it for anyone, do it for those people who are lying in the graves at Arlington National Cemetery, Riverside National Cemetery, the Punch Bowl of the Pacific, and the 24th Marines who are laying in Guam. Those people fought and died for our freedom, and it's your obligation to uphold that freedom. You raise your hand and you swore to uphold the Constitution and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's crunch time. I want to quote a great president by the name of Abraham Lincoln, who said that all the armies in Asia and Europe could not, by force, take a drink from the Ohio River or track the Blue Ridge in 1,000 years. If destruction be our lot, we must be its authors and finishers. As a nation of free men, we will live forever or die by suicide. Tonight I'm coming and asking you that you oppose Proposition 54 and stand up for America. Thank you.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name's Glenn Stahl, and I'm a resident for the last 50 years in Riverside County, and I currently live in an unincorporated area of Cherry Valley. And I'm opposed to SB 54, and I want to thank Mr. Parker for putting this on the agenda for you to have a workshop and take this matter up. It's a firestorm. It's about, I think, over 30 communities and in several counties have shown opposition to this. And one of the fears that councils have is a lawsuit costing you money, and I don't blame you for that. I just want to take a minute and point out a couple things. Berkeley News, back in 2015, published a news report, Berkeley News, that showed 74% of the citizens of California oppose sanctuary cities. At the time, it was sanctuary cities. And 71% of them were Democrats who were opposed to the sanctuary concept, period, for illegal, undocumented individuals, illegal aliens in our country. They're not immigrants. They're illegal aliens or undocumented. So, also another fact I want to point out, since 9/11, 2001, there's been 61,000 American citizens, just like you and I, that have been murdered in the United States by people in this country illegally. And that's some of the information I've learned by listening to the testimony to the several city councils throughout the area. There's 3 laws that have been recently passed that you all need to get familiar with. SB 54, SB 47, and SB 57. And there are 3 laws all passed for the benefit of illegal aliens in the United States and criminals in California. And it's making it difficult, and it's tying the hands of our police officers. These police officers are the only thing standing between us and total chaos in our society. We have pretty good harmony in America because we have law and order. If we lose that, we're going to have total chaos. And the thing standing between us and that right now is our police officers, and we need to support them 110%. I would like to see you join other cities to disavow SB 54. And Beaumont just passed a resolution, and I have a copy of it, 5 copies that I'll give to the clerk. And I just want to read one quick sentence. The adoption of SB 54 has created a conflict between the state, federal law, and has restricted local enforcement's ability to cooperate with federal authorities to protect California residents. And this is what they voted to do, to adhere to the rule of law, to demand that Congress do something on immigration. And the last thing was to continue to support the efforts of our local law enforcement partners in keeping our communities safe. Very simple, shouldn't be sued for this. So I'll give a copy of this to the clerk, and thank you very much for considering this matter.
Thank you. Any other speakers from the public? All right, this is a discussion item, so any council members would like to weigh in? Russ?
Well, I'll just simply say I appreciate the presence of those who have spoken and their passion on the issue, and I look forward to our study session and hearing from our police chief and our city attorney. We do have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of the community, and we have a responsibility, as was mentioned, to uphold the law. And I've always said you can't uphold the law by going outside the law. And I'll leave it at that. I'll have more comments when we have our study session.
Anybody else? I just want to point out that my position has not changed, that this is one of a long list of laws that the state of California has passed that I disagree with. But that being said, I'm looking forward to our work study so that we can get more information again from our city attorney and from our police chief about the actual facts about this law. So, thank you. Up next, City Council reports. Councilmember Brown.
Okay, Water Master Board meeting is coming up later on this month. After that meeting, nothing really new on the Disaster Planning Commission, but I do want to point out that our Emergency Services Coordinator
Has scheduled a new CERT training class, and I don't know if it's full yet or not, but it's coming up real soon on May 18th, 19th, and 20th. So if you are interested, it's a very beneficial program. I've gone through the training myself and advocate that anybody that is interested in learning more about how they can protect themselves and their family and their loved ones in times of disaster, that they look into that class. Along those lines, on Thursday the 26th, our fire department, in collaboration with a number of other agencies, CAL FIRE, I'll wait. Okay. Our fire department participated in a very extensive, full-scale fire exercise at the Hemet Hospital that simulated a fire on the 3rd floor, and it involved a multiple agency response from CAL FIRE and Soboba Fire and AMR Ambulance and Riverside County Emergency Management Department, and also the emergency personnel from the hospital. It was very well planned, it was very well executed, and I'd like to acknowledge the very thorough reporting that was done in the Valley Chronicle on that exercise. Very well covered. Thank you for that. And I was very pleased to not only witness the whole exercise, but also listen in on the debrief and what they call the hot wash. And one of the things that I was very pleased to hear, coming from a first responder background and been in many similar exercises and real incidents, In the debriefing, one of the first things that comes up as a failure of the exercise is communication. And in this exercise, everyone across the board commented that communication was excellent. A lot of that is attributed to the planning that went into it. A lot of it is attributed to the good quality radios that the fire department has acquired. And I was very pleased to hear, because there was even some concern among the firefighters that they weren't too sure how well that radios would work inside the concrete building and on the multiple levels. And apparently there was no failures on that. So kudos to all the participants in that. It was a very well done exercise, and I think very beneficial in helping prepare for, God forbid, a real incident should occur. Also later that day, it was a banner day for public safety. I had a chance to attend the Riverside County Law Enforcement Appreciation Dinner that was held at the Riverside Convention Center, and we had several of our Hemet's own and finest that were honored there. And I won't make any more comments on that because a couple of my council colleagues were there, and I'll let you share your observations on that. I had a chance on April 28th to attend another outstanding performance at the Ramona pageant, and it was followed by a very nicely held cast party afterwards that was hosted by Golden Era. I continue to marvel at the quality of that performance. Some people say it runs too long, but I don't know how you can consolidate that amount of California history into something less than the amount of time that takes place in that pageant. So anybody that hasn't seen it, I urge you to see it. I'm going to be seeing it again next year. And that's all that I have to comment on tonight.
Okay, RCTC is tomorrow. The Ramona pageant is over for this season, and work will begin soon on next year's. We'll have a further report, maybe one of our next council meetings, Laurie, when you get all the numbers together and you come report back to us. Okay. RTA was last week, and they're in the midst of budget, as is RCTC. League of Cities is the general membership meeting is Monday evening out in Palm Springs, and I'm hearing that several of us are going to be going, and the topic of the program is the pension liabilities, which you will all find fascinating and depressing as heck. So, and then the SCAG, Bonnie and I were at a conference out in the desert this last Thursday and Friday, and lots of good breakout sessions and good information. Probably the highlight for me was Friday morning when we had a panel discussion on transportation, which Streets and Roads in California put on by the new executive director of the California Transportation Commission and the new director of Caltrans, both of whom are women. And there was one other that was there. So we had 3 women on the panel. How they presented issues of state, how should I put this delicately, state encroachment on cities that state highways just happen to run through. Their comment, we need to listen to the people who live there. They know their community best.
So we need to arrange a meeting with them.
I know. It's like, okay, honey, that's what
I
we're
have
going to
something
do.
depressing to go along with.
Yeah. So that's it for me.
Right. Okay. Planning Commission is next week. Western Riverside Council of Governments meeting was yesterday, and we talked about the budget. And for the city manager's benefit, the TUMP auction is coming up, and there's a workshop luncheon with regards to that on the no, I got that mixed up. Okay, so anyway, TUMP options. And also on May 17th, there's a workshop on the CCA, which is Western Community Energy presentation, and they'll go through the whole thing with the questions and answers, go through what it means for the city. You know, this is something that we've talked about previously about how we can save money for our residents in their energy bills by going in this direction. And so this will be a comprehensive workshop on to council members and managers that attend. On the SCAD conference, you know, transportation was a big thing, and one of the breakout sessions was about transportation alternatives within the city, and how Monrovia, for an example, has a great alternative with bicycles. And it's that 50-cent bicycle that you can pick up at this corner and drop it off three corners down, 3 blocks down, and it costs you 50 cents. And this has been a very, very successful program from Monrovia. And honestly, for us, I think that would work really well from the standpoint of keeping these streets clear. And people really don't want to get in their car if they don't have to. So understandably, you know, we have the heat in the summer, but somebody, you know, if they're going to go down the street to get their lunch, they don't necessarily have to get in their car. They can pick up a bike at the corner and drop it off at the other corner and bring it back, whatever the case may be. Anyway, they have a very successful program, so I'm very intrigued by that, especially that alternative. The Homeless Task Force happens to come on Memorial Day, so we won't be having it this month. But I want to give Linda the opportunity to report on the homeless workshop or presentation that she was part of a few weeks ago.
Yes, we were asked, Bonnie was asked, to get a group together to go down to Temecula to speak to the Tri-Valley faith-based community. And as it turned out, Bonnie couldn't go because she actually has a full-time job. So I pulled together a team of Linda Rogers from Valley Restart, Christine Gray from the faith-based community, and Hemet PD's Lieutenant Eric Dixon, who works in the homeless community with a healthcare person. We went down and spoke to a very, very interested audience on how we have gotten people to work together so far in not necessarily solving the day-to-day, but looking at solving the long-term problem of rehousing, re-educating, and getting people off the streets in a permanent manner. And they were very interested in the work that, in the study that we're having done by Paul Webster from Solutions for Change out of Vista, and very, very amazed at the success rate that Valley Restart has on such a limited basis because they do have such a small facility. So we're looking at, through Bonnie's efforts, looking at ways we can somehow increase that program through Solutions for Change and help more people to a long-term permanent situation of getting off the streets. So thank you for letting me do that. It was really a good experience, and our guys really, we did good on a short-term basis.
Good. Skate Plaza Task Force meeting is on the 16th, where the skate park developer will be out to address the committee and how we will progress forward with the feasibility study. And I too attended the law enforcement dinner. It's something I look forward to every year. It's nice to see our officers being awarded for the work that they do. Every one of them deserves an award, but I understand that can't happen. But in any event, it's always something that I appreciate being able to go to and support our officers. So that's all I have.
Okay, I don't have all that. My RCHCA meeting is coming up this month, so I'll give you an update in the next meeting. I do want to remind everyone not to believe everything that they read. I got a flyer in the mail today. This was awesome, a postcard. I'm not going to give you all the details, but it says, City Council authorizes Hemet homeowners. So I did take the time to call them and ask them what meeting those minutes were in because I was there and I didn't see them. So just be careful of the things that come in your mailbox. That's pretty interesting, right? Lastly, our homeless outreach team update. We've compiled the facts and hopefully the data for our surveys that some of you have been involved in, and we will get the statistics out. Hopefully, I'll present them to council next meeting, and then you guys can all take a look, and then the public can see them as well, as far as some different needs that we've recognized, and we were able to talk to different business owners and put together some statistics. As we move forward with this, we'll bring our plan and how we are continuing to get people together. We have gotten a lot of people, and I say a lot, but we have a lot on the street still. We have been able to house many people this last month with all the different organizations, like they've been talking about, working together. The best comparison I can give you is $2.7 million to 50 people. That's the panhandlers that get that every year. Or we have a local organization that takes people in and provides them housing and services 226 people for $420,000 a year. So do the math. Do you want to panhandle or do you want to give responsibly? That's all I have.
Thank you. I had the Planning Commission meeting for the first Tuesday of the month, which was canceled, so there was nothing out of that. Monday at RCA, the RCA board passed the budget for 2019, which was actually a 13% increase over 2018, and it was a balanced budget. Last week I was in Sacramento for legislative day for the Association of Realtors. There was about 2,500, 3,000 realtors that all converged on the state capitol to talk about housing. And the biggest push that we had as a realtor organization was the shortage in housing, and that there's not enough housing starts, there's not enough available housing, there's not enough affordable housing in California. And so we looked at a lot of bills that would increase the cost of housing, increase the shortage of housing, and so we're pushing back on those. One of the things that the realtors are putting forth is we qualified for the ballot for a ballot measure for housing portability. So what that is if you are over age 65 and you are going to move, you would be able to move and take your property tax base with you. So we've qualified for the ballot on that. We are still looking at a legislative alternative to maybe get it through a little easier, because we are looking at some oppositions, cities being one of those oppositions, and public sector unions. One of the things that we looked at is that when the Budget Analysis Office did their analysis of it, they did a static analysis and didn't do a dynamic analysis, which would actually show that cities wouldn't lose money, they could actually gain money. And one of the things that would benefit the city of Hemet, and not just Hemet, but all the cities that have extra, that 1% tax, Temecula, Menifee, Hemet, Riverside, in our area, is that if somebody were to move in to Hemet and bring their lower tax base with them, they're going to have more disposable income to be able to spend locally, which would then benefit our city with those local tax dollars, because the city doesn't get as much in property tax than the county does. So that's one of the big things that we're looking at. Also, something to be aware of is that as far as housing goes, there's a push to repeal Costa-Hawkins, which is it's a rent control bill that was passed many years ago that it allows for non-rent control. And so if that gets repealed, it's going to be devastating on housing. If you think there's a housing shortage now, communities that implement rent control have an either further shortage of housing and available housing and affordable housing, especially in the rental market. So what that does is that when communities that impose rent control, when you then limit your rent availability, and so people that are, if I'm renting in a rent control at a beach, in a beach area, I'm going to live right on the beach and pay very low rent, below market rent. I'm never going to move. And so that's not going to open up that property for somebody who can't afford, even if I can afford to pay more, the person that can't afford to pay more, and that property would be beneficial to them. Why would I move when I'm already paying low rent and they can't raise the rents out of control? So that's something to be aware of, that's coming out. So that's what we're looking at Realtors, and that's what we talked about. I did have the opportunity to also speak with some of our legislators from our area about the Florida Median project. So that's on their radar as well. So that's what I have out of Sacramento. Up next, ad hoc.
All right, first we have our investment policy ad hoc. Okay, I'm going to start out. First of all, there's a lot of talk tonight about our investments, and I'm going to remind everyone why we started the investment policy ad hoc committee. When I first started running, when I first was elected, actually, I noticed that our rate of return was low for what the money that we have invested, and so I had questioned some things. Councilmember Krupa volunteered to be on an ad hoc with me, and so we have been going over, as you know, there's many different angles of investments. I'm not an investment broker or any type of professional, so in my opinion, that we need to have someone overseeing our investments that is a professional in that area. So we are looking at those different options. We still don't have a meeting set up with Citizens Business Bank. Is that correct, Lorena? Yes. And I don't know if Councilmember Krupa would want to give me her stamp too, but I think that needs to be done within the next 2 weeks because we've been asking. That needs to be done. Is that good, City Manager? 2 weeks to get that meeting set up with finance and with our treasurer. So we have an elected treasurer, and so that seems to bring out some confusion with who has the authority to do what, but ultimately the city council decides the policy, and so we want to make sure that our policies are followed. Is there anything you want to add to that? All right, we are working on it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Master annexation, do you have anything to report out? Any new news? Okay, perfect. Florida Avenue ad hoc. I do want to point, we have a meeting tomorrow with John from the District 8 Director from Caltrans, and I do want to point out that I received a letter from him in response to the letter that we sent out to Caltrans that we wanted to postpone the project and that we were not in favor of, as a council, we were not in favor of the median project. And his response letter was basically, we're moving forward with the project. The only area we're not putting the median in is between Gilbert and Santa Fe. But other than that, the median's going in. So the person that you guys met at SCAG, maybe we can get a meeting with them. But I know there's another meeting that's going to be set up with a former commissioner from the Traffic Commission. Okay, so board member, yeah. So we're looking at a meeting with that. That's all I have. Do you have anything?
I would hopefully we could talk to that lady before we meet with him tomorrow, if it's at all possible. Yeah, right. So.
And special events ad hoc.
Well, we did meet and we presented the special events ad hoc funding on today's agenda for those that had applied for nonprofits that had applied for funding from the city. So that was approved today, as you all know, and we were happy to once again fund Ramona. Thank you. I thought that would get your attention. Again, like I've said before, there's never enough money to do what we hope to do with, but we try to at least help out our nonprofits and their special events so that it all comes back to us. because it brings revenue back into the city, and it's a good engagement of the community. And so we'll continue to do that as we can. It's always bittersweet when we try and go through those figures, and we're only allowed so much, and but we're happy to do what we can. So that's it.
Thank you. City Manager.
I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our new Deputy City Manager, Chris Lopez, who started work with us yesterday.
Good afternoon.
Green light on?
It's on now. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. Chris Lopez here, Deputy City Manager. I look forward to working with each one of you and making the city all that it has to offer for the community. So open door policy for me, so I look forward to working with you. And please feel free to reach out if you have any comments or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome aboard. Future agenda items.
I'll bring back my little plan for you guys to look at, and I don't know if that's an agenda item, but
Okay.
I'll bring it back to you. Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Well, we gotta get through some of these that are already on there.
All right. We don't have to go back into closed session, so I would like to,
I just want to make, it's not a future agenda item, but I just wanted to make one comment that was pointed out by a person who was viewing the webcast of this council meeting, pointed out that there was a comment from one of our speakers earlier, I think it was Nancy Layton, that commented that she heard that the council meetings are going to be broadcast. And we missed an opportunity to mention that they're currently being broadcast on a webcast, and we'll be making some refinements to that and in the future. But so we do have somebody that's watching on the webcast and send an email to point that out. So thanks for pointing that out and letting us.
In the future, like in a few days, they will be posted on YouTube.
Right.
So tonight's will be online. That's it.
Very good. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Very good. Thank you. So I would like to adjourn this meeting in honor of National Nurses Week, and we will reconvene May 29th at 7 p.m.